Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to my coverage of my round 4 game from the 2017 Western Class Championship. Round 4 was played Sunday morning, and I was facing a young man whose rating was 1821, so my third youngster in a row, and my rating for this tournament was 1795. He started off with e4, I went c5, went knight f3, and I went e6. I had decided on this after seeing the pairing. I played in a similar position in the last tournament. I played the immediate e6, the French defense, and I think that's also a good choice. But I wanted to try the Kan Sicilian. Basically, the idea is I want to play solid defensive setups for black, avoid some of the sharpest main lines of different openings, and hopefully get into an opening that my opponent is less familiar with. So anyway, I think it worked out reasonably well. He played d4, I took. He played knight takes, went a6. So that's the Kan Sicilian there. Knight to c6 would be the Taimanov Sicilian, and he went c4. So I think that's a very interesting way to play, and it's not bad for white, although it's not the top choice. If we back up, the top two moves here are bishop to d3, just bringing the bishop out and defending the center, and also taking advantage of the fact that the knight on d4 is not under any pressure, so it doesn't matter if it's momentarily undefended. And the other move is a natural knight c3 developing move you see in so many Sicilians. But, well, why not play c4? It's kind of... I've wondered about this myself, actually. It does seem to lead to an okay position for white, and many other Sicilians, the general rule is if you get a chance to play the Maroxy bind setup with the pawns on e4 and c4, you should just go for it. So it's almost a little bit surprising it's not the top choice of the database here. But yeah, like I said, it seems to be a fine move, and no problems here. It's a third choice in the database, and the chess engine thinks it's a fine move too. So I went queen c7, just continuing with the Kan setup. He goes knight to c3 and play knight to f6. And this is kind of the idea of that early queen maneuver. You're controlling the e5 square so that white is not playing the move e5 right away and forcing that knight to move again. So you get this knight here. Maybe one thing about this setup against the Maroxy bind is that it's possible to get in the d5 move in one go rather than going d6 and d5 in a single tempo. You can get the pawn all the way to d5 in many cases, and maybe that's why the Maroxy bind is not as attractive here as it is in other lines. Anyway, he went a3, and a3, although it's the top choice of the opening book and the engine, it actually allows a tactic from black here, which I think is pretty interesting. So if you want to think about this, look for a tactic for black which maybe wins a pawn. Maybe that's the best way to think about it, although it's complicated. So yeah, pause the video here if you want some time to think about it. I'm going to give the answer away now. So the answer is knight takes e4. So not a move I would have thought of. And so what's the idea? Why can't white just take it? Well, taking is the best move. It's a free piece. Why not take it? Then here's the idea. Queen e5. It attacks this knight. It pins the knight. And it also puts pressure on this knight so that if, for example, if white were to play the natural queen to e2 there, which defends the knight and unpins it at the same time, then this knight is hanging. so you get a piece back either way. The best reply for white here, which white might not have been able to find under the pressure, and I think other lines are good for black. He can play like this with f3. That defends the pawn. Defends the knight. So both knights are defended. Now I have to play d5, take advantage of the pin to get my piece back. He takes. I take. Let's see, g3. I don't understand this, but this is the chess engine line. D takes e4. And bishop to f4, harassing the queen back to e7. And actually, black does stay a pawn up in this line. But, so that was the point of that g3 move. It was to allow bishop to f4 with tempo. Black stays a pawn up in this line, but white has very active development for his pieces. No pieces are developed for black, And anyway, seems like white is okay in this position, but that would be a pretty interesting line to go for, I think. Anyway, I didn't see that. And I played a move here the chess engine doesn't particularly approve of. Let's see, the chess engine prefers the moves b6, pushing that pawn forward, or knight to c6, just developing a knight. Those are all reasonable moves. I played bishop e7, and I don't know if this has a huge flaw. In general, the chess engine prefers white in all these positions because of the amount of space. But as I said, black is pretty solid, so it's not easy for white to come crashing through. Let's see, my opponent castled here. Oh no, it's my turn. I castled. He castled. And then I played knight to c6. So we're just getting our normal development going. He plays bishop e3, and I played b6. Let's see, we're out of the opening book at this point. d6 is apparently the main move here, although I think b6 is fine too. After d6, the line goes like this: d6, rook to c1, this exchange on d4, and then bishop to d7. That's how the opening book line goes. Although the chess engine, quick to spot a little tactic here, likes to get in the move b6 at this point, and the idea being that if white grabs this pawn, at the end you have this skewer, the rook on b8 picking up the b pawn here. So b6 is safe to play in that position. Anyway, I just played b6 immediately. I'm just going for this hedgehog setup with the pawns all in the third row here, and just see how my opponent reacts. He starts playing on the king side with pawn to f4, and I decide it's time to kind of resolve some of this tension here. I take off the knight. He took back with the bishop. Maybe taking with the queen would have been better, with the idea still of somehow putting pressure on this pawn. Even though there is this skewer, it does kind of inhibit me from playing bishop b7, which is what I want to play if you had the queen and queen and bishop battery there. But this seems like a pretty natural move. So I go bishop b7 immediately, and then he goes e5. And so I think this move is actually the first slight mistake from white, although still good for white according to the engines, but not the best choice in this position. I think it's better to just kind of sit on this position with your extra space. And the chess engine suggests an interesting queen maneuver here. Queen to d3. Say I play d6 now. Queen over to g3, and bishop to c6, a4, queen to b7, and bishop back to, or up to d3. So white's getting set up for a king-side attack here, and in the meantime I've set up this battery, which is, I just wanted to show this. One reason I wanted to show this is because there's this battery with the queen and bishop is a typical idea in the hedgehog. Sometimes the queen is on a8 and the bishop is on b7, but anyway, you go for counterplay along this diagonal. And yeah, it looks like an interesting position. Like I said, the chess engine thinks that's good for white, whereas e5 kind of resolves things in the center. It shuts down this bishop, though, and it well, he's trying to create a hole here, but it's not so easy for him to maintain a grip on the d6 square. And also my knight has a good square to go to, so it's not like my knight is getting chased to a bad square. And these exchanges help me in another way, in that my position is I have less space, so these trades of minor pieces makes my job a little bit easier. And then b3 here is, or b4 is what my opponent played next. Another slight mistake, not bad, but now it's getting into the range of equalizing. So queen to b3 or queen to d2 are recommended moves from the chess engine. Once again, just sitting on the position. I think b4 is pretty natural. Once again, just trying to expand on the queen side here with his pawn majority. But well, it does allow an immediate reply from black that kind of solves my problems here and pretty much equalizes. And I was able to find this over the board, so I throw in the move d5. I mean, I'm typically in this position, I'm always going to be looking for moves like d6 or d5, and there's an opportunity where I can play it and get away with it, it looks like. He didn't take right away. He decided to play rook to c1, and then I decided to take because I didn't really like the idea of him pushing that c-pawn forward and getting a majority on the queen side. So this kind of evens things out. Let's see, he took with the bishop, setting up a discovered attack on my queen. So I step aside, and he goes queen e2. I bring my rook into the game, rook to d8. He drops his bishop back. It was undefended there. And then I play a5. I spotted this idea. I've got a dark squared bishop here, and I am looking to create some weaknesses on the queen side now. Also, this light squared bishop, I kind of like it where it is. Notice that the trade brought the bishop to the central position where it's covering, some squares on the king side, protecting against a potential king side attack, as well as it's got the other long diagonal to play on as well. Let's see. So he goes rook fe1, trying to force me to make a decision with that bishop, and I would maybe even consider defending it, except that's not a playable move. His bishop controls that square, so I really have to move the bishop now. And I didn't want to commit to one side or the other. Right? If I drop the bishop back to g6, it might be out of play on that side of the board if all the attention turns to the queen side. So I came back to this square. I went bishop d5, and we just traded. But this brings my pieces forward. So we've had a couple trades that have been to my advantage. And actually, over the last several moves, Black's advantage has been slowly building. Let's see, he went queen e4. I go queen d7. I'm trying to get a battery going on the d file here and maybe activate the rook to the second rank. He played bishop out to c3 now, defending his pawns over here. And I bring the other rook to the d file, rook to d8, and he trades. I take back. And then he plays a4. And this move is actually a mistake, although the way the chess engine wants to play it, it looks like Black is better in any case. The chess engine wants to drop the bishop back to b2, defending the pawn, and allow me to penetrate to the second rank. But it looks like White can defend the second rank. Let's see, and then I need to take a moment out here to play a move like g6. And but this is a position where Black is just better. His pieces are just a little better placed, and I have some checks against his king. Well, not there because the bishop is guarding it, and I have ways to increase pressure on the a pawn. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to see, but the chess engine gives a 1 to 2 point advantage to Black in all of these lines. I don't know. Maybe White could defend that. It's hard to say, but I would be happy to play that as Black. Anyway, he went a4, and so this is a mistake, although I didn't find the best way to exploit it. So let's, you might want to pause the video and look at this. I'm going to show two different lines here, the line that I played and the line that the chess engine recommends, and they're both kind of interesting, I think. So you might want to take this as a little exercise. It's your turn as Black. There's different ways to play this, but what do you think the best way to play this position is? Okay, pause the video if you want time to think about it. I'm going to give the answer away now. So the chess engine line, let's look at that first. Rook to c8, trying to put pressure on the bishop. Now the engine says the bishop should drop back immediately, and then if that happens, then this is looking very good for Black. Rook takes, bishop takes, and then bishop to b4 is a double attack. It hits the rook, and then the queen is looking at that pawn on a4, so it picks up a pawn at least. Let's see. How about if rook takes? I keep finding things that I didn't consider. Yeah, there's a check here. I have to be a little bit careful because I also have a problem on my back rank. So I mean, there's like this check, and then I can pick up the pawn. But then he's got a check here, which is nearly mating. I have to block with the bishop. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one. Like I said, the chess engine is confident that bishop b2 is the right answer, but I don't know, looks a little weird to me. But other lines seem to get into trouble too. For example, if he tries moving the rook, say rook to f1. He does want to move, he doesn't want to move this rook because it's defending the bishop. He doesn't want to move the queen because it's defending the pawn. So it kind of limits him what he can do. So just rook f1 was an idea, just to see what he could do or how black could continue. And then there's this bishop a3 move hitting the rook. Rook to c2, and then rook to d3, piling up on the bishop. Looks like things are pretty bad for black in those lines, or for white in those lines as well. Anyway, Chess Engine says black is winning. The move I played, I spotted this bishop b4 idea, and I just played bishop b4 immediately. And in this position, he can take the bishop. That's what's different between this position and the position where he's retreated his bishop first. But I had accounted for this. I saw that he could take, and I have this move rook d4, and this is the line I calculated. And I figured, I would have enough pressure here. And the rook is looking in both directions. I thought I would just be winning a pawn. And, well, like I said, the Chess Engine gives black the advantage here. So there is a win, but it's not as simple as it appears, or as I thought. So, okay, the queen moves. I take the bishop. And, it is kind of a double attack. I'm attacking this pawn. With two pieces, it's only defended by one piece, and I'm attacking this pawn. I thought for sure I'm winning something here, but he finds a very nice defensive move, rook to e4. And, yeah, that seems to defend everything. The rook there is defended by the queen. I can exchange rooks, I do, and drag the queen away. But there's no back rank mate because his king, I can sack the queen there and get a rook to the back rank, but his king can always escape. So, and of course, this rook here also defends the a-pawn, so holds everything together for the moment. Rook takes, queen takes, but there's still an advantage here for black. It's still, the Chess Engine still gives black an advantage of +1 to +2 all along here. Let's see, so queen to a7 check, the king runs to the corner, and now g6, and this was a necessary move. It may look like it's pretty slow, but I can't lift my rook off the back rank until I play a move like that. Otherwise, I get mated. So let's see. But that move gave white a tempo. He brings the queen in, and then rook to d2. So I think that's a good move as well. I'm leaving my back rank undefended, but I'm going for the second rank attack. And he played rook to f1. And I had a shot here that I missed, although what I played was also good. But if you want to look for a quick tactic for black here. Okay, yeah, if I had spotted this move during the game, I would have played it. Queen to f2. You want to play moves like that just for their shock value in many cases. Of course, if he takes the queen, he gets mated. So rook to g1 is forced. And then I pick up a pawn. So that would have been the simplest win, I think, from there. Although, let's go back to that. Although it's his turn here, and he gets a pawn as well. I don't want to leave the impression this is entirely simple. He gets the a-pawn. And then, but I think I can gang up and win the other a-pawn, so I think I stay a pawn up here. So definitely if I had spotted that during the game, I would have played it. I should mention that by now we're on move 32. It's been a long game, and the time control is at move 40, so I am watching the clock at this point and not spending every last second, keeping a few minutes, a couple minutes per move on the clock. So I have a time to think about any complicated situation that turns up. Anyway, I played queen to d4. I think this is also a good move. It centralizes the queen and kind of keeps his queen tied down, defending things. And let's see. He could actually try and grab the pawn right away. Queen to a8 check. But, well, then I can grab this pawn. Again, making use of that back rank trick. So so this is still working out well. He decided to solve his back rank problems by playing h3. Very reasonable choice. But, well, now I'm getting this a-pawn at least, rook to a2. He went queen to a6 check, king to g7, queen to a5. And now in this position, it's move 35. I have 5 minutes of time control. I paused to think for a little bit here. And because I realized if I just take that pawn, he can drop his queen back to e1, and this is really pretty much a dead even position. So I was searching, I had the advantage for most of the last 20 moves, and I was searching for some way to keep the advantage here, and there is one. So if you want to find the best move here, you can treat this as another little quiz. Okay, pause the video. I'm going to give the answer away now. The move I played here was queen to e4, a nice little tempo move. And, it's threatening mate. So he has to respond to that. And, it's not giving up on this pawn here. He's going to lose that pawn anyway. And how he defends, is going to determine the rest of the game. I thought he would play rook to g1. This is how I thought it would go. Rook to g1. I play rook takes a4, and the queen moves. And then I can grab this pawn. So I end up a pawn up. And if he trades queens, well, this is a king and pawn endgame with 4 pawns against 3. It's a theoretical draw, but it's also the kind of position that black can play for a win. You just keep up the pressure and see if your opponent knows how to defend. So anyway, queen e4 was a good move. And but my opponent once again found a clever defense. He played the move rook to f3. That shields that pawn, and well, I can get my pawn back, and we're even. And that's the way I played it. I just took the pawn, and partly I did that because, well, I was discouraged that he found a defense, but also I'm on move 36 now, and the clock is ticking down, and other moves, if I don't grab that pawn back, other moves might leave me worse. But there is a win here, so if you want to spot the win for black in this position, can you find a winning line for black here? Okay, pause the video if you want time to think about it. I'm going to give the answer away. There's actually 2 winning moves, either queen to c2 or queen to e2. I think the key idea is just to get down to the second rank, and of course that comes with tempo. Let's the line I looked at in detail was queen e2. I think the queen c2 line is slightly different, but anyway, well, there's a mate threat here, and how can he defend that pawn? The queen can't get over to defend it. The rook is blocking the view of the queen of that pawn. So actually, I think the only move here is rook to g3. Then there's a check here. That's why the queen c2 line has to be different, because this check wouldn't be the same. There must be a different way of continuing from this point. Anyway, drives the king here. Then rook to a1, threatening to mate. So the rook has to move out of the way. And if he wants to hold on to this pawn, he has to play rook to f3. Any other move would give up the f-pawn. So rook to f3, queen to g1 check. Yeah, not queen to h1 check, queen to g1 check, king to g3, and rook to a2. And now this is a win. There's no way to defend the g2 pawn, and black is just crashing through. Black is just crashing through. White's king is all exposed after the loss of that pawn. Now there were other lines there, where white can give up a pawn and play on, but in all lines, black is winning. Whereas after rook takes e4, it's no longer a win, and in fact, it's dangerous for black. I have to be careful I don't get hurt on the back rank. So that was my chance in this game. And it's kind of a shame. I mean, I had left time to think about it, but well, that was a sequence that required some thought. It wasn't an obvious mistake, but it's also a very natural move. If I had more time and more time to work it out, I probably would have found it. But you hate to leave this extra pawn here, which could be a threat in the long run. If there's any defense at all that white has, then in the end game, white is winning after the pieces are traded off. So you have to be pretty sure before you play like that. Anyway, so I took the pawn. This way, at least I'm not going to lose. But, well, now it's very hard to win. He dropped his queen. Oh, he brought his queen into d8. He continued to play actively. And, well, I have to be careful. He can do things like queen here to drive my king to the back rank, or over to the side, and then maybe rook here and down to threaten mates. So I brought my rook to the back rank, and then, well, let's go forward a few moves. You also, oh, one point I wanted to make here is you don't want to, he has a perpetual here, you know, with the queen going back and forth, but you don't want to assume your opponent, just because he's been losing, is going to go for a perpetual. Once you give him the chance, he might decide just to go for the win. So, you know, I wasn't going to play anything too risky here. We're still on move 37, so rook back. Let's see, went queen f6, king back, king h2, rook to c8, played king g3, and I play rook to e8 and cancel that, rook to e8, keeping the queen out of that square. And that's move 40. So I made the time control, but unfortunately there's no winning chances here anymore. Let's see, he started, like I said, he's not also going to be happy with just a draw here. He starts playing for an attack, bringing his king forward. So I decided to simplify things and just turn it into a draw, since I really don't have any winning chances, and my king is actually tied up. So white's really the only one who has winning chances here. So I go for this check. He trades, and this is not too hard to draw. Let's see. The game continued. He played around with his king, got it out of the way so he could push the pawns forward. But I'd spotted this idea. I can put my rook up here, and it doesn't matter, even if he gets his rook around, which I think he does. He eventually brings his rook around and pins my f-pawn so that he can push his pawns forward. But as long as I stay on the 6th rank with my rook, he can never push his e-pawn forward to take advantage of that pin. So I just shuffle my rook back and forth, and then he offered to draw at this point, and so that's how the game ended. Anyway, I thought that was a very interesting game. It's just a shame I didn't find that winning idea at that key point on move 36, because I thought I'd played very well up to that point. I had managed to build up an advantage, even though my opponent was not making any obvious mistakes. So it wasn't just taking advantage of a simple blunder, but slowly building up my position to where I had a winning advantage. But well, at the key moment, I wasn't able to find that move, and ended in a draw. So stay tuned. I'll be back for a round 5 coverage, and I will see you then. Bye.